Alright guys, what's up? FlamingVictini here, and I just needed to say a few things before this game started. Firstly, yes, it is a very long game, 1 hour long, but it is an extremely good game, definitely worth the watch. I already know BKC and one other person, I think, has uploaded the series to YouTube, and you've probably already watched the replay, so really, maybe this video is not for you if you've already seen the game. I wanted to get this out on Friday, in fact, but I just did not get the time. I've been busy with a lot of stuff, and yeah, I just haven't gotten the time, so that's why I'm uploading so late, and I haven't uploaded anything in the weekend. But yeah. Anyway, it's a really good game, so if you haven't watched it, you definitely should watch it. Now, the other thing I want to say is that both of them played really, really well, but the end game, I got really, really worked up. Like I tend to be really, really big on playing the end game perfectly such that hacks cannot beat you. Like, I'm really big on finding out the optimal win path such that you minimize the amount of hacks you risk to win when you're in a winning position. So, because there were some plays that I found questionable in the end game, that's why I got really, really worked up. Even though both of these guys are my friends, I've known GeeMick and ABR for quite a while, and I just got really, really worked up, so I don't want anyone to take offense to that. I don't mean to discredit any of them because both of them played excellently. Like, they both played really, really well this game. I just got really worked up with how one of the players managed the end game. I felt like it could have been managed better, and I may be wrong about that, but that's just how I feel. So, um, yeah, please don't take offense to that. I just get really worked up, but it's a very, very good game. This is one of the closest and best games I've seen in a really, really long time. So it's definitely worth the watch if you haven't already seen the game. And yeah, without that, here's the game. Oh, and another thing I wanted to mention is that in the video I do say that I'll do a post analysis of the end game, but I just haven't gotten the time to do that. So if you have any questions regarding the end game once you watch the video, or even if you've already just seen the game and you're just curious to know what are my thoughts on how the end game should have been played, just leave a comment and I'll respond to that. So yeah, let's get right into the game. What's up, guys? FlamingVictini here, and we are back on Smogon for a very, very important SPL game. This game is a tiebreaker game, and it will decide which team will make the fourth playoff spot this year, SPL 7? GeeMick is representing the Cryonicles, and ABR is representing the Alpha Ruiners. ABR is the favorite going into this set because he has shown in the past to be really, really good at OU, and both of them are really good friends for me, so it's kind of like a neutral split, but I'm hoping that GeeMick can put off a really good fight and maybe even win because a lot of people have been counting him out, and I think he's really quite good and capable of beating ABR. Now, looking at the teams, both of them have Sand, and GeeMick is running like the extra drill with Sand, which is just his take on the team, and then the rest of it is like Balance, Megalati, Torn, probably Assault List. Rotomosh is a good pivot, and whoa, that is a very interesting animation, and I have not seen Dragon Pulse in a very long time. ABR has a very, very creative team. It has Dragon Pulse Megaladias itself is already interesting. I'm not exactly sure what it's for. Maybe it's to hit other dragon types harder, or it hits Rotom harder now than T-Bolt or Ice Beam would. ABR has a Nidoking, and that's the really big thing that stood out to me, is that he has a Nidoking. Now, the Nidoking definitely is going to be a big threat for GeeMick. His Clefable can technically put in his GeeMick's Clefable can technically put in a lot of work, but ABR does have the Jirachi. But that's only if ABR's Jirachi and his Nidoking are removed, both of which are really good answers to Clefable. Although I do think that if Clefable gets enough Calm Mind boost, Nidoking won't be able to beat it without a crit. So. But then after that, disregarding those two mons, Clefable is pretty good versus the rest of ABR's team. It might be Scarftar, Roxlando, it could be Roxlando, Double Dance, or Scarftar. Might be Scarfkel, might be Spexkel. It really depends on the Lando and the T-Tar set. Once we know the Lando and the T-Tar set, I think it's a lot easier to, and especially also the Jirachi set, then it's a lot easier to understand the makeup of ABR's team. So GeeMick does go to his Clefable right here, and like I said, it does play a role in in checking stuff, but it also gives up momentum in terms of like Nidoking and Jirachi. So I don't know if GeeMick wants to just fire off a Moonblast here or try to predict something, but ABR does just go straight into his Jirachi, and there's a good double by GeeMick into the Hippowdon, so that's going to be great for him. And there we see U-turn on the Jirachi, so it's not sub-toxic or anything like that, so it might even be Scarf Jirachi. And ABR is going to take the opportunity to go back into his Latias, presumably to recover this all off. And GeeMick gets up his rocks, and ABR is not going to be able to remove those rocks, which is great for him. Now, looking at big threats to GeeMick's team, I see the Nidoking as a big threat. It can come in on the Clefable, potentially on the Rotom, and if it clicks the right move, it can get a kill. But there we see the Latias is Defog. I wasn't sure if it was Defog or something else, but the Latias is whittled down a little bit by that sand as well. ABR has an opportunity to go into his Lando T right here, and if it is his Rocker, he'll be able to get those rocks up. If ABR's Rocker is Lando T, I think that really benefits him, because he will be able to... there's a really nice double by GeeMick. It will benefit him because GeeMick's Excadrill, you saw, doesn't even have Air Balloon, so it's going to be really hard. It's really going to be unlikely that GeeMick is going to be able to stop rocks from ABR unless he forces ABR to defog himself. And there's another splendid play by GeeMick, doubling. Oh, first he doubled to the Rotom, which is already really good, and then he pulled off the Wisp on that Lati, and that's definitely going to help him to wear this Lati down, because GeeMick doesn't have so much that threatens this Lati really directly, other than like Clefable, or not even Excadrill really that directly if Latias can avoid getting flinched. So, or if it's not SD Excadrill. So I think GeeMick has already put himself in this kind of favorable position, and also I see the Tornadus as a really big threat to ABR's team. Really, I do see the Tornadus as a big threat to ABR's team, even if it's not Life Orb Tornadus, and I'm thinking it may not even have U-turn, because if I was GeeMick, I would have contemplated going to Torn there and then U-turning on that Lati. But there we see it is Rocky Helmet Lando T, and it is Life Orb Excadrill, so that's gonna really hurt GeeMick, taking that 26% just to deal 26 back to the Lando T, which is really interesting. So GeeMick just goes into his Rotom, getting those leftovers recovery. Now he could just fire off another Hydro Pump, and I honestly think he might just do that. I don't know how bulky GeeMick's Hippowdon is, or if Latias happens to have some coverage that'll threaten Hippowdon. But, because we did see Dragon Pulse, so we don't even know what its other coverage move would be, or if it even has T-Wave or Toxic or, like, something weird like Reflect type. We don't know. But GeeMick does make an aggressive play, goes for the Volt Switch, predicting ABR to save his Lando T. And ABR definitely needs to save his Lando T because of that Excadrill, otherwise he'll get mauled by the Excadrill. And we see it is Life Orb Excadrill, so it can't hit the Keldeo significantly harder with the Earthquake, and that might make GeeMick's potential sweep easier. Now, GeeMick could go to Clefable right here, but I think it's a little passive to do that. I think he might go to Hippowdon, but he risks like some offensive, some invested like Ice Beam or something like that. But it's definitely in GeeMick's best interest to get up his own rocks and pressure ABR to defog, and he does choose to go to his Hippowdon. He's also going to get the Sand up, which is really wearing down this Latias. It's already down to 50% health, and ABR chooses to go straight into his Keldeo, as GeeMick does get up those rocks, which is really good for him now. Alright guys, sorry about that. So ABR is now in with his Keldeo. He can potentially just fire off a Scald. GeeMick has a really safe switch in his Latias, which I'm presuming is a Mega Latias, but he does choose to go to his Clefable, and wow, it's Toxic on Keldeo. I actually have used Toxic Keldeo before. It's really interesting, and I think GeeMick's choice of going to Clefable was really, really good, because ABR was not going to Hydro Pump there at all. ABR was definitely, if he was going to click an attack, ABR was going to use Scald. I'm really sure that because GeeMick has a potentially AV Torn, a Rotom Wash, and a Latias, so I was really sure that if ABR was going to click an attack, it would be Scald, maybe even Secret Sword, but I really doubt it. I was thinking Scald, and even if it was, and Clefable can switch in on Scald. It can't switch in on Hydro Pump, but it can switch in on Scald, and Toxic is a really interesting option, but I've used it before. I think it's more useful in a meta with a Jellicent, but that definitely worked out for GeeMick. Now, GeeMick pulls a nice switch into his Tornadus, although it's not so great because ABR does get in his Nidoking. I guess GeeMick gets in his Tornadus and he can threaten this Nidoking a lot more than the Clefable can threaten the Nidoking. I'm not exactly sure what Tornadus set this is quite yet. It might even be Life Orb offensive if GeeMick feels his team is a little bit lacking in offensive presence, but it could just be Assault Vest, help him deal with, like, Mega Alakazam, for example, is a pretty big threat to GeeMick's team. I would be pretty confident that the Clefable has Thunder Wave, just because Calm Mind Mega Alakazam can potentially run through GeeMick's team, and GeeMick likes to have Clefable as a safe switch. Now we do see the Torn does have U-turn, and he's able to U-turn out of the Jirachi. The Sand will end this turn, so GeeMick can't go to his Excadrill, but he can go to his Rotom Wash. And honestly, I think this, I honestly think GeeMick has played the first turns of these, like, all up to this point. I think GeeMick has played this game really well. Oh, it is leftovers Jirachi, and he does get his leftovers first. I really doubt sub U-turn, so GeeMick is probably safe to fire off a Wisp right here. He could also just Volt Switch, and it is leftovers, so that might be a Scarf Toxic Kelt. And Toxic is definitely a viable option on Keldeo, although, like I was saying, I think it's more useful in, like, a meta full of Jellicents and stuff, because, like, nowadays people often use, like, a Moongus as their switch-in, and for stuff like Latias, a Burn is often more useful than a Toxic, but Toxic is certainly an interesting option. I think GeeMick was really smart to not go to his Latias and instead go to his Clefable. Not like he was predicting the Toxic. I highly doubt he expected Toxic, but ABR was not going to Hydro Pump right there, and that's why I think it was a fine play. GeeMick does just go for a pretty safe Will-O-Wisp, and I think it's really, really obvious ABR will just, well, I mean, does GeeMick even need to risk it? Like, I'm pretty sure ABR would recover, but ABR may choose instead that he wants this Rotom to be really weak and doesn't need his Latias, and if that's the case, then it might benefit ABR to go for a Dragon Pulse and let GeeMick Volt Switch out of this Latias to ensure that it's going to be dead. But otherwise, I mean, Volt Switch damage is pretty negligible. I mean, it definitely helps on a Mon without Leftovers recovery that's also burned and can potentially take Sand. So GeeMick does indeed go for the Volt Switch, and yeah, he does get off 9%, and that could make the difference. So he's gonna get off that Volt Switch, and he could go, I could see him just go to Clefable, honestly, and just threaten out this Latias so that the next time it comes in it's going to be a lot lower. But he does go to his Excadrill instead, so I don't know what covers this Latias. I don't know what its fourth move is. We saw Dragon Pulse, Defog, and Recover. I'm trying to think what would Dragon Pulse indicate. Honestly, I'm really not sure. I'm trying to understand what the idea behind ABR's team is. I think the idea behind it is Nidoking, basically. I think it's just built around Nidoking so that if GeeMick brings a balanced team, then it has good chances of potentially breaking it. GeeMick does just fire off another Iron Head, and that Rocky Helmet plus Life Orb is definitely hurting that Excadrill. That's literally the only damage it's taken, and it's already below half. But the Lando T will probably die to another Iron Head on the switch-in, so it's not gonna be checking this Excadrill for much longer, but it's gonna be checking it long enough. So ABR does just go straight for the U-turn. Definitely his best play, because if GeeMick stayed in, he's basically gonna be killing himself, and that's in favor of ABR. And GeeMick has his Torn in, and now ABR does not have a lot for this Torn. Depending on his T-Tar set, he could just go to his T-Tar right here. I could, I don't know what else he would go to, honestly. If it's Scarf Keldeo, it's not going to be able to OHKO and AV Tornadus. We saw that it's probably AV. We saw no Life Orb damage, and AV did make sense on GeeMick's team. It's basically like a bulky, balanced offensive team. And Mega Latias, both of them have Mega Latias, which is really, really increased in popularity, which is really interesting. This might be just Body Slam, Iron Head, Wish U-turn, Jirachi. I'm not entirely sure on this set, but GeeMick, I could just see GeeMick just U-turning out to his Hippowdon, play it really safely, or maybe even U-turn out to his Rotom. But maybe he'll be hesitant to U-turn out to his Rotom because he'll take those extra rocks. Yeah, exactly. So he does go to his Hippowdon, and yeah, Jirachi just goes straight for the Iron Head. So, I mean, Iron Head is doing 16%, so with the leftovers around like 10%. ABR's not going to be really gaining much ground with Iron Head. And GeeMick, I don't know what GeeMick, oh, there's the Wish, and GeeMick does go for the Whirlwind. So yeah, so GeeMick is definitely going to Whirlwind here because he does not want that Lando T to get that Wish. He definitely does not want that Lando T to get that wish, and he might even be playing to finish off the Lando T with rocks. If he can use, ABR does U-turn out, and if he gets whirlwinded back into Lando T, that'll be really, really big. Oh my god! ABR. Oh my goodness. He's actually, that was actually like a 1/5 chance, and ABR got it. That was definitely really big. That was really, really, really big for ABR. Oh my god. I swear, ABR's luck is always on point. He's always on point. Like, oh my god. So, GeeMick might just U-turn again here. He might slack off. I'm not really sure. ABR goes to his Jirachi. He does have the double Intimidate now, and yeah, GeeMick's just U-turning, whirlwinding around. Right here, I could see him just go for a slack off just to see if this is like Bantar or something, because ABR does have the -2 attack on that hit pattern, so it's not going to be doing as much damage with an EQ. Oh my god. I think GeeMick had really, really solid chances to win if ABR didn't get that roll with the wish. A definitely good, smart play by ABR to U-turn out and give himself those chances of the U-turn of the whirlwind into the Lando T, I guess. Oh my, I mean, it worked out for him. I mean, I don't know what to say. It definitely is going to put a damper to GeeMick's plans, but honestly, GeeMick still seems pretty solid. It's just that now the health on his X-Drill is just a lot more precious. What are GeeMick's win cons, I would say? Oh, he does not slack off. If I were GeeMick, I definitely would have slacked off right there. And ABR pulls a double switch into his Nidoking as GeeMick pulls a switch into his Clefable yet again. And I think GeeMick is pretty confident that the Keldeo is Choice Scarf as well. So ABR finally got his Nidoking in, and this is a tricky spot for GeeMick right here. Honestly, I don't even think ABR needs to go for the Sludge Wave. I think GeeMick would not risk switching his X-Drill directly in on Nidoking. But he does go to his Tornadus, which has the Assault Vest, and ABR does just go straight for the Sludge Wave, so maybe GeeMick is going to try to knock this thing off, because he'll remove the Life Orb boost, which along with, like, it'll be good for him to remove that Life Orb, but he wouldn't want to lose his Torn. And the fact that, like, X-Drill is one of his best ways to revenge heal this, I mean, Latias can potentially work too, depending on how much you damage the Nidoking, because I highly doubt that Latias has Psychic coverage. Its best way to hit this Nidoking is probably Ice Beam. So, oh my god, GeeMick is going to have to play very, very smart with his X-Drill now, like, really, really smart, because that Lando T healing itself up with that wish was big, really big. I don't know what GeeMick wants to do right here. I mean, ABR can pretty freely, like, go for an Ice Beam, I think. And, I honestly think that GeeMick, I honestly think GeeMick can, not even, I honestly think GeeMick, I honestly think ABR didn't even have to go for the Sludge Wave right there. He could have just gone for the Ice Beam. Because if GeeMick went to his X-Drill right there on the Nidoking, that would have been pretty good for him. Kind of forced the Nidoking out. And GeeMick does just U-turn. I don't know what he's going to U-turn to, though. He does U-turn to his Latias and takes an Ice Beam to the face, but it does 65%, and when it Mega, that actually took it really well. I mean, that took it really, really well. I need to calc this right now. Nidoking, OU Breaker, Latias. And, wow. Really? Nidoking is so... Oh, this is already Mega. Latias. And let's just say, yeah, it doesn't have Soul Dew. Oh my god. That would be insane. But, wow, I guess that's just max HP Latias. That's just how it tanks. And let's see, does he just go straight for the recover? Yeah, he just goes straight for the recover, so GeeMick does survive that instance. The thing is, his Hippowdon is really low now. I would have definitely gone for the Slack Off. On the turn he whirlwinded the T-Char. I honestly think that the turn where Lando T healed itself up with Wish was where GeeMick started to drop a little bit. I honestly think that the turn where GeeMick used, where ABR got the Wish on his Lando T, GeeMick started to play a little more questionably. I think he definitely should have gone for the Slack Off on the T-Tar, just scout out to see what it is, and that crunched it 40%, so that, let me just calculate damage to confirm, but I'm pretty sure that might be Bantar. OU hip out on. That has to be banned. Yeah, that's definitely banned. I knew that it has to be banned, and I thought GeeMick should slack off just in case, and now he can keep himself healthy. He sees that ABR has locked himself in a crunch. He can potentially go to his Clefable. But yeah, GeeMick's the biggest problem for GeeMick right now is that his Excadrill is low on health. But ABR gets his Keldeo to Scald, and he's gonna go to his Nidoking right here. I'm pretty darn sure that ABR is gonna pull a switch into his Nidoking. GeeMick is playing very carefully with his Clefable to avoid the Latias getting burned, but honestly, the more Clefable is in, the more chances ABR has to get in his Nidoking, which is really threatening for GeeMick. I think if GeeMick can beat out the Nidoking and also make sure he can beat out the Jirachi, he's honestly in a pretty solid position, as long as he also doesn't lose to Bantar. ABR does attempt to go for a double Scald, and GeeMick goes for the Calm Mind. So, oh wait, this is actually pretty good for GeeMick, because I'm pretty sure, like, Nidoking versus, we need Nidoking versus Clefable calcs right now, we need those. But I'm pretty sure, like, with a +1 and then a +2, yeah, Sludge Wave, okay. Sludge Wave is doing 61 to 71, and then with a +2 it's doing 45 to 54, so not exactly, but I guess if GeeMick can get a +2 before the Nidoking can go for a Sludge Wave, then that'll be really good for him. So he does just go straight for the Soft Boiled, and ABR does just go to his Jirachi. I'm pretty sure this ABR is just gonna go for the Iron Head right here, I'm pretty sure. And GeeMick has to go to Rotom at this point, I think. I don't think he can afford to go to Hippowdon, because then ABR just might go for the flinch and just might get it. And if he does get that flinch, it's gonna be huge. No, instead ABR chooses to GeeMick chooses to stay in, take the Iron Head. I'm assuming he went for the Thunder Wave right here, but he did not get the 40% chance to break through and T-Wave that Jirachi. And now his Clefable is low, and that means that Keldeo has a lot more potential to put pressure on GeeMick's team, in terms of Scald burns really, but yeah, mostly that stuff. But yeah, I think that wishing up on the Lando T was a really critical turn. GeeMick is gonna go to his Hippowdon, and ABR pulls a U-turn, very nicely done by him, and now he gets in his Nidoking, and this is gonna be a really difficult position for GeeMick. I don't, with the Sand Up especially, and Rocks, I don't know if he can afford to go to his Latias. I really don't think he can, and he might just be losing a Mon right here. I'm trying to think, what's GeeMick's plan to win this game now that the Lando T is recovered up? It's really, really bad for him. I mean, honestly, I don't think this battle was definitely in GeeMick's favor before that turn, and I honestly think that it's not that ABR has been playing stellarly and that's why he's brought this game back and now he's looking in a favorable position. I honestly think it's just because GeeMick made a few like slightly questionable plays, and also because I think maybe he tilted a little bit from that Lando T. I mean, if I was in GeeMick's position and I rolled the Lando T on that Whirlwind, I would be pretty upset, because that's a really, 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 really major turn. Like, it's a major, major turn. ABR is definitely going to go for the Sludge Wave right here. Well, I don't know, ABR is not... I think ABR is going to go for the Sludge Wave for sure. He's not going to fool around with this, and I think GeeMick should just go to his Excadrill. He kind of has to at this point. That's my opinion, at least. But he has to play very, very carefully now. GeeMick definitely still has great chances to take this game. It's just not as good as it was looking earlier, mostly because of that Lando T is now back and kicking. Like, that was major, major, major. And yeah, he does go to Excadrill. Does ABR predict? Yeah, he does a Sludge Wave. I'm pretty sure that was going to happen. And now, does GeeMick double switch predicting the Lando T? I honestly think ABR is not going to risk his Nidoking right here, because ABR knows that if GeeMick just EQs, if GeeMick just EQs, he's not going to take Iron Head plus Rocky Helmet, or Life Orb plus Rocky Helmet, and he threatens. I honestly think ABR just has to go to Lando T right here. If GeeMick pulls a double switch and ABR predicts it, he's just out of this world, honestly, because I think it's an unnecessary risk at this point. You got your Lando T back, health back, and GeeMick's Excadrill is at 29%, and you honestly don't need to make those plays Yeah, there we go. But GeeMick does get in his land of his Hippowdon, and he's going to get a chance to heal this thing back up, and that's definitely going to be good for him. ABR does, however, get a chance to go to his Keldeo, and this is going to be interesting because now that Clefable's at 50% health, they can't switch in on that Keldeo anymore, and now GeeMick might potentially have to risk a burn. He might have to risk 2 Scalds, honestly. This good news for GeeMick is that this Keldeo has been taking passive damage the whole game. The fact that it's already down to nearly 50% of its health is pretty interesting, but yeah, I don't know what GeeMick would want to switch in at this point. I mean, his Clefable is at what, 56-ish percent? 57%. How much was the Scald doing to the Clefable? It did 34%, so yeah, he can't switch into his Clefable. He does have to risk his Mega Lati. And ABR has, I think, honestly, 2 chances to go for the Scald Burn here, because GeeMick is definitely going to go for the Recover right here, but, you know, ABR decides to just go to his Teach. Oh, that also works. That also works because he can trap this thing, and Bantar definitely has a lot better chance of beating this Mega Lati than Scarftar does, or any other T-Tar set. Bantar is much more effective at trapping Mega Lati than any other T-Tar set, because it just hits that much harder, 1.5 times harder, and that really makes a difference with the Lati thing, because, like, oh, there we go. So GeeMick is able to get the play right and get in his Hippowdon on the Crunch. Crunch again did 39%. Maybe I just want to run this calc. Tyranitar OU Choice Band to see what the roll is. Choice Band Adamant versus Hippowdon OU Mixed Wall. And oh, that's actually like a mid. Oh, GeeMick could die right here. And if that happens, that'll be really bad for GeeMick. Although I think it is in GeeMick's favor. This roll, that was around the mid roll, I think. That's what it was. 43.5, a little bit on the higher side. No, it's 36.6, so 7, yeah, 3.5. Okay, so a little bit on the lower side actually for ABR, that roll, and ABR does not risk it, and GeeMick just goes straight for the EQ. He doesn't even bother to slack off. I'm not sure how much I agree with that. If I were GeeMick, I would have gone for the slack off for sure. But maybe I actually no. I understand why GeeMick would want to EQ, because he'd rather have that T-Tar gone so that his Latias has a lot more free reign versus ABR's team. Because honestly, I'm thinking Latias may be a potential way for GeeMick to win. The Wish Jirachi is definitely holding ABR's team together. I could definitely see it playing a big role in the late game with the Wish, because it walls Latias, Clefable, potentially walls the Torn, and I can see it playing, and it already played a major role by healing up that Lando T. What is it at? Like, it's going to be at 50% after rocks, less than 50% after rocks, so GeeMick has worn it down a little bit with those Stealth Rocks. I think the Stealth Rocks are really helping GeeMick, and they're not helping ABR as much. But they're definitely playing a role on both teams to wear down on GeeMick's end the Torn, the Latias, and the Rotom, and also the Excadrill to an extent. And on ABR's end, it's really been wearing down that Latias, and it's been slowly chipping away Keldeo, T-Tar, Lando T. Oh, there we go. A nice play by GeeMick, predicting Latias to go for the recover right there, and taking it as an opportunity to heal up his Hippowdon. I don't know, maybe I think GeeMick would also want to take this opportunity to potentially heal up his Clefable, but every time that Clefable comes in, ABR can get in his Nidoking, and that's the biggest thing about GeeMick using Clefable versus ABR's Nidoking. That's definitely ABR's pivotal, like that's the situation. ABR wants to create Clefable versus Nidoking as many times as he can. And no, GeeMick actually goes to his Torrent, and the sand does end right here. He's going to be able to U-turn and get a little bit of health from the Regenerator and go to his Clefable. I think going Torrent... Oh, he actually goes to his Hippowdon. Okay, GeeMick is definitely avoiding going to his Clefable at this point. And now we see that Latias' recovery is indeed the Thunderbolt, so it can't even threaten this Hippowdon. And... yeah, this Latias can't even threaten Hippowdon, although Hippowdon can't threaten this Latias back. That's important to keep in mind. I don't know how much GeeMick wants to Whirlwind Shuffle. I think GeeMick would attempt to Whirlwind this Latias when it's a little bit lower, because the ABR's Latias is definitely going to go for the recover right now and get to about 94%. So yeah, he does go back into his Torrent. GeeMick is really confident that Latias is going to go for the recover. He is going to take a little bit of sand with this Torrent, but Regenerator is really just helping him out. And GeeMick is just wasting all of ABR's PP, really, and he's just keep consistently wearing down this Latias. ABR does just go for the recover yet again, And GeeMick can go, oh wow, GeeMick, ABR tries to predict GeeMick and goes for the Thunderbolt, and this Sand plus Burn really wears down this Latias so quick. It's already at 64%, which is surprising. I could see ABR just going for the recover right here and GeeMick just staying into Earthquake. I think GeeMick is... I think GeeMick is really not wanting to go to his Clefable at all. I honestly think he's not going... yeah, GeeMick is definitely avoiding going to Clefable because he knows that if he gives that Nidoking a chance to come in, every time he lets that happen, he's risking getting a kill. He's risking a crucial member of his team falling apart. Now, the Rotom is almost dead, but I guess it could potentially recover up on some... I mean, it doesn't really have much to recover up on, but the GeeMick wants to keep sacks as long as possible. He really needs to make sure ABR is not able to break his team with Nidoking, and ABR really wants to make sure that he's able to break GeeMick's team with the Nidoking. ABR is really trying to predict GeeMick right here. Oh my goodness. GeeMick gets the roll right, and yeah, so ABR pulls the switch into his Lando T right here because GeeMick would live. Oh, there's another nice play by GeeMick, predicting a switch again and whirlwinding. That's really good for him, and he's going to go to Torn right here for sure. And yep, there's a recover on the Latias, and he's just going to U-turn out back to the Hippowdon. So there's a crit too to boot. I think GeeMick is definitely piloting this well. He's definitely piloting this well. Those nicely timed recovers are gonna play a role in the long term. The Nidoking can't OHKO this Hippowdon, I think. I honestly think ABR will Dragon Pulse right here, as he does just Dragon Pulse. And GeeMick goes for the Stealth Rocks. I guess he was expecting that ABR might try to defog, but ABR's probably gonna use, yeah. He does just go for the Slack Off with the Hippowdon. Definitely just play it safe. That's definitely in GeeMick's best interest. And ABR gets in his Keldeo again. It does take Sand, Stealth Rocks, and it's going to be taking one more turn of Sand. So it's going to be, after this turn, it's going to be less than 50% health. But every time this Keldeo comes in, GeeMick has to risk a burn, because he can go to his Clefable. Even if he could go to his Clefable, I honestly think GeeMick might be avoiding it at this point. Because to GeeMick, the Clefable is a liability. Because the Nidoking, yeah, to GeeMick, this Clefable is almost a liability because it just lets that Nidoking come in. And I don't know if I don't know what GeeMick wants to risk. I highly doubt that GeeMick wants to sack his Rotom immediately, but I also doubt that he wants to just throw his Latias out there because eventually it's going to get burned. And as you've seen on ABR's end, the burn on the Latias has really, really worn it down. It's like ABR just has to spam recover with the Sand especially and no leftovers recovery. It really forces ABR to play, like, keep recovering with his Latias, and that could make the difference between a win or loss in the long run if he has to use too many recovers. And in general as well, if Latias is not burned, it's much more likely to be able to take on ABR's Nidoking when he needs to, because GeeMick needs to keep in mind that his Torn can't OHKO that Nidoking. His Excadrill is going to die soon, and I mean, how much health is the Nidoking at? It's at 66% health already. Wow, that's actually pretty good. Did he ship it down with a U-turn? He must have shipped it down with a U-turn at least. But 66% is, I think, pretty good. Because it's going to be at around 60%. If he's already down at 60% health, and you haven't even hit him with any like decent attacks, that's pretty good. GeeMick does go to his Latias. And does he get the burn? No, he does not. So I don't know if ABR... I mean, ABR is probably going to just switch right here. He could go for another Scald. I mean, this is the other thing I completely forgot about, is that this T-Tar comes in every time this happens. GeeMick is... By going to the Latias, GeeMick... I mean, it's a tricky situation. If GeeMick plays it well... Oh, ABR chooses... Oh, ABR's going to go for Wishing. That I see. ABR's going to go for wishing his team around, I guess, and... Whirlwind Roulettes. Is this game really going to come down to Whirlwind Roulettes? No. ABR actually goes for the U-turn to get in his Keldeo. He really wants to burn that Latias. Or maybe he'll pull a double switch. I don't know. But, already this Keldeo has... The Sand is reset. It's already at 30% health. I swear it was at 60% health. And GeeMick, all he's been doing is switching. Like, the passive damage in this game is pretty insane. We've already hit 58 turns, but this game is really, really good. This is the quality of a game I'd expect from a tiebreaker match. Both of them are playing really, really well. And the game is close. It's not like it's heavily skewed in one player's favor. And if one player does not make the right plays, he could lose even though he has the advantage. It's really the definition of like a really good game. It's like neck and neck. They both have win conditions that are viable at this point. They both have ways to handle the opponent's win conditions to a pretty decent level. And ABR just has not gotten that burn yet. And wow, it's already at 26% health. The power of sand is amazing. I swear this Keldeo has lost like over half of its health from sand, and then like another like 30% from stealth rocks or something. Like I'm pretty sure this Keldeo has not been hit by a single attack by GeeMick the whole entire game, and it's already down to 26%, which is pretty insane. And if ABR chooses to stay in, he's going to be down to 20, and even if he does stay in, he's going to be down to 20. I mean 20 when he switches back in, which he does choose to switch. And GeeMick just to recover again. ABR, I don't know, he has to get some lucky wish roulettes. He really does. I honestly think ABR is just gonna try to go for some lucky wish roulettes. But GeeMick does just go back to the Hippowdon. Yep, there's the wish. Now, does GeeMick EQ or Whirlwind? I don't know, what would ABR do? Would he go to his Lando T? I don't know what ABR's thought process here is on how he wants to try to get the wish. He definitely wants to try to wish up his Keldeo if he can, but I honestly think the only way he's going to be able to do that is a wish roulette. Oh, he actually goes for a double wish to, oh, interesting. He goes for the double wish to avoid, okay, this tells me something really important. Because he went for the double wish, it means that he doesn't want to Ironhead and flitch the Hippowdon, because if he does, then that means his Jirachi is gonna get the wish, which is not what he wants. He doesn't want to U-turn because he doesn't want to switch something, because okay, I understand. So, and he doesn't have Body Slam, because if ABR had Body Slam or like even Fire Punch or something like that, I think he would have gone for it, try to burn the Hippowdon with something with 20%. Like, the fact that he went for a double wish just shows to me that ABR, like, I don't, what is his last move? What is ABR's last move on that Jirachi is really what I'm trying to figure out here. And oh, so very interestingly, ABR decides it is time for him to defog these rocks away. They're becoming too much. He's really wearing down ABR's team. And on that very turn, GeeMick decides to switch out his Hippowdon to his Clefable. And there's the Ice Beam! Very nicely done by GeeMick. I really expected Thunder Wave on this Clefable, but he hit the Nidoking with an Ice Beam. And that was really, really well done by GeeMick. That was splendid. I did not see that Ice Beam coming, and hitting that Nidoking with the Ice Beam, that was really, really good. I honestly think that was a great play. Yeah, that was a great play. That's all I can say. Hitting that Nidoking with the Ice Beam is massive. That's just huge. This Nidoking is nearly dead, which is insane. It hasn't gotten a single kill on GeeMick's team yet, and it's already almost dead. Like, that's insane. GeeMick does choose to let his Rotom go in favor of keeping his Clefable. He's probably going to go to his Torn right here and potentially U-turn. And GeeMick, definitely something on GeeMick's schedule is to get up those rocks, because those rocks will play a big role. He doesn't even need to rely on his Excadrill. The fact that his Excadrill is so weak now really means less now, because I think GeeMick's, yeah, he does switch to his Jirachi. I don't know if this Torn has knockoff. I don't know what his coverage is. It definitely has Heat Wave. That Torn definitely has Heat Wave. GeeMick's team is Scizor weak. That's partly why he has Whirlwind on the Hippowdon. The Rotom might even be really fast, and he definitely has Heat Wave on the Torn. I can guarantee you that. Hurricane, Heat Wave, U-turn. Not sure what his last would be. I'm presuming GeeMick just gets up his rocks right here, and that's exactly what he does. So ABR gets in his Lando T, probably going to get up his rocks, and GeeMick's going to Whirlwind this thing out. What does he roll? Keldeo. Oh my god. This is big. This is big because the Keldeo is down to 15% health. And wow. This Keldeo is like on the brink of death, and it hasn't been hit by a single attack, which is just amazing. That's not something you see every day. He does pull a double switch. I thought ABR might, because he's really pulling low, and wow. Great play by GeeMick there, going to his Clefable, and now he's in a good spot. He can go back to his Hippowdon pretty safely. He's not going to get Pursuit Trapped by his Latias. I honestly think that was a really fine play by GeeMick right there. And going Clefable is now a lot safer because that Nidoking took that Ice Beam. And I think the way that GeeMick was playing his Clefable by not going into it a lot, it maybe led ABR to believe that the Clefable really has no way to hit the Nidoking. I personally also believe that the Clefable had no way to hit the Nidoking. Personally, I tend to be pretty cautious about Alakazam. I'm pretty sure the Latias has T-Wave then, because Latias can at least tank a +1 Shadow Ball and T-Wave the Mega Alakazam. But if GeeMick has Ice Beam on the Clefable, that means Mega Alakazam is really threatening the GeeMick's team. I mean, Trace is not a perfect answer to Excadrill Sand, but yeah, it's definitely something that's a factor. So GeeMick rolls the Jirachi on the Whirlwind, and he can just fire off an EQ right here. ABR might probably just U-turn out to Lando T or Latias. Oh, actually, he does have Protect. I wasn't sure if his last move was Protect or not, but we do see now that it is indeed Protect. And Wishrachi has a surprising amount of durability. Like in some games, it can really just last a long time and help the teammate last a long time. And I think ABR's only hope at this point of winning, because his team is let's look, his Keldeo almost dead, his Nidoking almost dead, Lando T really weak, Latias burned really weak, Tyranitar gonna be at 50% health when it comes back in, and GeeMick's team is looking pretty nifty. Like, even though he's lost his Rotom, at that point when it was at 24% health, it really just wasn't doing that much in the game anymore, and it's not really a big problem. I mean, GeeMick is technically down in Mons, 5-6, but he's far ahead in this game, I think. And ABR needs some really lucky roulette wish rolls, I think, with Whirlwind, Wish and Whirlwind. I really think that Wish and Whirlwind is going to be a major factor in how this game turns out. If ABR can play his wishes perfectly, predict perfectly, or get the perfect Whirlwind rolls, he might win. But there's the Wish as GeeMick fires off the EQ. It does solid 59%. Technically this Jirachi would be able to Wish Stall Earthquake though, and GeeMick has 12 Earthquakes left. Yeah, Jirachi can definitely Wish Stall Earthquake if he wants to. GeeMick could Whirlwind here. He technically could Whirlwind, because it would mean that the Jirachi would not get his Protect, would not ensure his recovery, because Whirlwind would go through Protect. But I don't know if he'd really want to do. I honestly think GeeMick is going to be very careful about letting that. It's really a toss-up. I mean, I personally think that ABR. What would ABR do? I mean, honestly, I think ABR is trying to force Hippowdon to Whirlwind and then hoping to get lucky and getting the Nidoking or the Keldeo. Getting the Nidoking or the Keldeo would be... Nidoking is easily the biggest thing that he could get. And yet GeeMick just fires off another Earthquake. I think ABR is just going to stick in here and keep Wish Teching. I honestly think ABR is just going to keep wishing and texting until... Oh my god! Holy smoke! Oh my god! Smoked away. That was big. Now the reason I think that ABR would have kept Wish Teching was that he would have wished and then he would have protected to by protecting he forces the Whirlwind, and if he doesn't protect then he forces that the Hippowdon if the Hippowdon doesn't Whirlwind, he forces that the Hippowdon has it basically is like a loop. If interesting. GeeMick decides to let the Nidoking get wished. I'm not really sure I understand that. What is he trying to keep his Hippowdon around for? If I were GeeMick, I would have stayed in to take that Ice Beam and EQ that Nidoking. I'm pretty sure it lives. Yes, it does live the Ice Beam. I'm not sure why GeeMick chose to, oh, that is definitely big. That is definitely a big... I think ABR has a chance again now. I honestly think switching out Nidoking... I honestly think switching out Hippowdon was a misplay. There was no way you should have let that, that Nidoking get that wish. I don't understand. I really don't understand, but... I guess GeeMick finds his Hippowdon to be important. What could it be important for? What could it be important for? I guess T-Tar, Latias, and Lando T. I mean, letting the Nidoking... letting the Nidoking heal up like that seems really risky, but GeeMick does just go to his Exegel. Is it Jolly Exegel? I want to calc versus his Lando T now. Lander T, OU defensive versus Exegel, OU, Sandra Sweeper, and yeah, that might be Jolly Exegel. It could definitely be Jolly Exegel. I mean, GeeMick knows what his set is, so that's why he would, yeah, okay, so there we go. GeeMick makes a nice play by doubling into his Clefable. Really aggressive, honestly, really aggressive. But, wow, so ABR does just go for the defog, and Clefable is going to Calm Mind. Yeah, GeeMick's going to get up a second Calm Mind, and this is going to be really bad for ABR. I honestly think ABR has to go to his Tyranitar. I think that's ABR's, yeah, I mean, if GeeMick gets up 2 Calm Minds, which he can easily do versus Latias, then the Clefable can beat the Nidoking. The Clefable can beat the Nidoking if it gets up those +2 Calm Minds. So honestly, yeah, this is okay with GeeMick because that double worked out. I mean, if I was GeeMick, really, I would not have let that Nidoking, I really would not have let that Nidoking get the Wish Pass, and I definitely would have wanted to keep my Torn. But I mean, it works. If I was, then Torn definitely does not have knockoff, because GeeMick would have gone for it by now if he had knockoff. But I'm trying to understand why he switched to Torn. Really, the only, okay, it could be that he did not realize that the Wish would go to the Nidoking. It could be that he had a little lapse right there. But the alternative explanation is that he really just wanted to keep his Hippowdon on. Does he Moonblast? No, he does not. He just goes straight for the Calm Mind. So this teacher is going to be able to fire off an edge right here. Oh. But how much health is this Latias at? This Latias is at 22% health. He does just go to his Hippowdon, yeah. Oh, there's the edge miss. If he just stayed, if GeeMick stayed in and caught that, I mean, I honestly think if he Moonblasted the T-Tar, which was a really obvious switch in my mind, I think that would have been, I honestly think that was a possible. I think I lost my track of thoughts right there. ABR does not go to his Latias, he actually goes to his Lando T. Well, okay, actually, if ABR did go to his Latias and then took the burn plus the sand, then, oh, in comes the Nidoking. How much does Earthquake do to Nidoking at -1? Hippowdon. OU Mixed Ball versus Nidoking. OU Wall Breaker. Earthquake is -1. 65 to 77, so it's definitely going to kill this Nidoking right here, even with the -1. And GeeMick's lost too much on his team. I don't think he can afford to switch out his Hippowdon right now. He has to stay in with his Hippowdon and EQ this. Ice Beam really should not kill the Hippowdon. It really shouldn't, but this is why I think earlier, if he just stayed in with Hippowdon and killed this Nidoking, he would be in a perfectly fine spot. No freeze. Oh yeah, I'm dumb. Sheer Force. I don't know why. Every time I see situations like these where the win seems almost like guaranteed, I always think, oh, but what if this happens? But yeah, Sheer Force means there's no chance for a freeze right there. So yeah, GeeMick definitely should have done this last time. In my opinion, he definitely should have done this last time. He would have had his turnaround, and I don't think he really gained much from this other than the fact that the Latias is at 22% and it can only come in now, really. Oh, ABR does choose to go to his Tyranitar. It does make some sense to go to his Tyranitar for sure. If GeeMick, I don't think GeeMick wants to risk his Clefable. I don't think he does. I think GeeMick might honestly just sack. I honestly think GeeMick might sack Excadrill. I mean, Excadrill can also. How much health is the Lando T at? Yeah, honestly, I think GeeMick might sack the Excadrill. See, look, if ABR goes for the Stone Edge right here, and if he goes for the Stone Edge and the Hippowdon switches out, but then the T-Tar went for the Stone Edge, then that means Hippowdon can come back in and go for the Slack Off. And once that Hippowdon gets the Slack Off, it's pretty much like game over for ABR. Whereas, if he goes for the Crunch, never mind. So he does choose to go to his Excadrill after that. I don't know, I would have considered Clefable. I really would have considered Clefable. Oh, there's Rock Slide, okay. so he's gonna avoid taking that that life orb damage, but he's rock sliding to avoid the rocky helmet right here, but he's only gonna have one life orb hit. I don't know if this is the right sequence of plays. I feel like it's risking Bantar. I feel like it's really risking Bantar. I honestly would have rather had Hippowdon than this 2% Exegel. The Lando T was not a major threat at this point in the game, and if ABR wins, I'm going to be... I mean, I think GeeMick has had this game won several times now, but I mean, I feel like GeeMick had a more optimal sequence of plays. I think okay, I don't think switching out Hippowdon into Tornadus was the best play, but I also don't think it was a choke. But I think letting the Hippowdon die right there was a questionable. Because let's see if he went to his Exegel on the T-Tar's Crunch. Then he would have been able to go on a Clefable, and what the heck does ABR have for Clefable when his what the heck does ABR have for Clefable when GeeMick when his T-Tar is locked into Crunch? He has to switch out, he has no switch-ins, and then when he comes back in, he is also forced into using Stone Edge. Like, it seems like a good position to me, but if now's the time to use T-Wave, this is it. I think, actually, yeah, this might be what GeeMick's plan was. Because if he does have T-Wave on the Latias, then it's not a big problem. If this Latias does not have T-Wave, then that's a problem for GeeMick. But, well, actually, no. Because ABR did not Dragon Pulse. Why didn't ABR Dragon Pulse? I'm not really sure what specific benefit he gained from defogging this lane. Oh. Does this not have T-Wave? Does this not have T-Wave? Oh my god, does GeeMick really not have T-Wave? He's really trying to lose to Calm Mind Alakazam. I don't know why he lacks T-Wave, but he does. We've only seen Recover from this Latias. He's playing for misses. I mean, the thing is, Exegel does come in after this, but GeeMick's just gonna... I feel like GeeMick is really risking more than he needs to. How much does... Please tell me Tyranitar does not live Clefable Moonblast. It's not like I'm biased against ABR, it's just that GeeMick should win this game, and oh my fucking god. I think GeeMick is choking. Because it's Bantar, it has HP. He's not going to be able to OHKO this freaking time. That's why he defogged. Okay, so GeeMick goes back into his Exegel, and Telly seems to be high because this is like, okay, he does pull the double switch. He needed to pull that double switch. It was necessary. People. Oh my god. Honestly, if I were ABR, I would have Stone Edged because that double switch was so obviously necessary. Well, actually, honestly, it's a very tough play. I personally think that GeeMick had a way to win this without having to make a predict like that. ABR can't win. ABR can't win. Now that GeeMick, this is futile because he went for the Calm Mind. Okay, it was the +1 Moonblast kills. Unless a Banded Stone Edge crit kills the Clefable, this is a lost game. Because the Sand does activate Exegel Sand Rush, so it will kill off the Keldeo in the last turns of the game. How much does Stone Edge do? Oh my. That does a lot, but it's not going to be enough, yeah. So, unless it crits... The Stone Edge crits, oh my god. It does not crit, and he soft boils... Does he not have Moonblast? Does he not have Moonblast? Does ABR really not... does GeeMick not have Moonblast on this Clefable? That has to be the only reason you would not do that. What the heck? Is he really going for Stone Edge misses? He is really stalling. ABR has hit every single Stone Edge, I think. Honestly, if GeeMick... Okay, I'm getting really upset with GeeMick right now, right here, because... For one, he really should have... Oh my god. Can GeeMick switch to Exegil right here? Honestly, I think, okay, does ABR pull a double switch? If ABR pulls a double, if ABR goes for the Stone Edge and GeeMick goes to his Exegil, ABR loses. If ABR pulls a double switch into Keldeo as GeeMick goes into Exegil, Exegil has to kill the, it comes down to Stone Edge hit. So it's in GeeMick's 100% best play right here is to switch out into his Exegil. 100% his best play, because if he stays in, he risks Stone Edge hitting, so that wins the game for ABR. If he switches to Exegil and ABR pulls a double switch, he risks the exact same thing. So yeah, he does pull the, oh my god! GeeMick makes the play. Okay, so the reason I said Exegil is 100% the play, it's not 100% the play. I mean, it's 100% the better play, because it gives GeeMick the highest chances, not considering prediction. It's Bolt Beam, that's why. It's Bolt Beam. I don't know why. I assumed it was Moonblast Ice Beam. I find Moonblast Ice Beam to be pretty good, but I guess it was Bolt Beam. That explains a lot more. Him not having T-Wave. Oh, interesting. GeeMick's just that was easily GeeMick's best play. He yeah, okay, Calm Minding is fine there. Unless, I mean, I keep feeling like GeeMick is creating a questionable win plan that risks some lucky stuff from ABR's end. I mean, he only has one more Stone Edge. I don't understand why GeeMick did not just Thunderbolt. No, I do understand why he didn't Thunderbolt, I guess, but he just oh, he Calm Minds again. Okay then, if you get crit right here, it's your fault. He gets a defense drop. This is GeeMick's fault. This is 100% GeeMick's fault. This is GeeMick's fault. This is GeeMick. This might be the biggest choke I've ever seen, or the closest someone has ever gotten to choking multiple times in a game. It's not really a choke. Don't get me wrong right here. He's not taking the optimal win path. That's what it is. He's just not taking the optimal win path. If ABR hits this Stone Edge, he's going to lose. And he had a way to win without letting this happen. And that's why I'm really mad, because GeeMick had no reason to let ABR get into a position like this. None at all. I'm getting really worked up about this, because this was badly played endgame. I'm really big on it playing endgames well, and I think this endgame was really badly played by GeeMick. Yes, he got predictions correct, but he made plays that forced him to get those predictions correct. Otherwise, it would have put him into a bad situation. M-Dragon. Yeah, that's also true from M-Dragon. I don't think that second Calm Mind was correct either, because no sand. I think GeeMick's time pressure was also getting to him. I think there's a lot going on in this game behind the scenes. It's just GeeMick, this is a very high stake game, obviously. So, and GeeMick's not used to being in such pressure, I presume. It's a pretty, well, he says no, so maybe M-Dragon is wrong right there. And moving on. Okay, so M-Dragon is wrong about that, so never mind. But this situation should never have happened anyway. Okay, so the first questionable misplay, I think GeeMick really pulled it back in after that Lando T's Rocky Helmet thing. He was a little shaky those turns. He hit. And it's all GeeMick's fault. He lets that happen. Like, you can say that ABR got lucky. He obviously got lucky to win the game. ABR obviously got lucky to win the game. He needed the defense drop. He needed to hit every single Stone Edge. And he got that. He needed to do that. And GeeMick had to put himself into a position where he had to predict. GeeMick shouldn't have had to put himself into a position where he needed to predict at all. So let's see. First misplay. Switching out his Hippowdon from the Nidoking when the Nidoking received a wish. that forced GeeMick to play unnecessarily to sack a Tornadus around the Nidoking. That was completely unnecessary. He could have had his Tornadus right here. And if he had his Tornadus right here, he would have won the game. So, like, without any doubt, he would have won. So, this is insane. GeeMick threw this game so many times. He did. He really did. Okay, I need to stop saying that. I need to explain how he did it. So, this is my post-game analysis of how GeeMick threw this game. So, GeeMick switched out his Hippowdon of the Nidoking, let his Tornadus die. He did miss the Hurricane. That did play a role, I guess. But GeeMick let that happen. He did, and because he was not able to kill that Nidoking, in a later situation, he literally killed the Nidoking by staying in with his Hippowdon. Like, I don't understand how his plan was to... I mean, his plan was to win with Calm Mind Clefable, but ABR had a Bantar. I think GeeMick played badly around two threats. He played badly around the Nidoking. In the endgame, he played well around them early on, definitely, for sure. But I think he played badly around the T-Char in the endgame, as well as the Nidoking in the endgame. So the Nidoking, he literally switched out his Hippowdon to let his Torn die, and then stay in with his Hippowdon to kill the Nidoking. Now, obviously, he wouldn't necessarily have the foresight to see that he would eventually be forced to use Nidoking to kill the Hippowdon to kill the Nidoking. A lot of it depended on Whirlwind rolls. So I'm not going to say that's not the best argument. But by principle, you're not going to let one of the biggest wall breakers to GeeMick's team that literally, if it comes in on the right mon, grabs a kill. You're not going to let that thing stay alive. I don't understand. Like, why would you switch in a mon to take 50% and let it stay alive? Just to keep around a Hippowdon that you later sacked? Like, okay, so the other thing that GeeMick... Okay, you know what? What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the replay of this game, and I'm going to do a post-game analysis right now, because there was a lot going on in this game. There were a lot of different pathways, ways to choose what to do, and this was a very, very important game. It was also a very, I would say, good game. It really was, but GeeMick really should have won this game. He really should have. And I think he made some plays that were not optimal. So I'm going to try to pinpoint those out. I just know on principle that he did not make some of the best plays. And so I'm gonna stop rambling right now. I know I've said this. I've probably said this like a million. I'm really upset with GeeMick. Because GeeMick is my friend, and I really feel bad to see that someone would do that. Because GeeMick really threw the game multiple times. But okay, so let me open up the replay. I'm gonna stop rambling. I'm gonna pause it, stop it right here, and I'm gonna be right back with the replay of this game.